From the station working for you, this is breaking news from WRTV.
Good evening, I'm Nicole Griffin. We begin with breaking news this evening, the deaths of two children who were hit by a car in Lawrence. Here's what we know so far. Lawrence police tell us a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old were crossing North Post Road just south of East 45th Street when they were struck by the car. Officers say the driver stayed on scene and is cooperating with investigators. The identities of the children have not been released, and police tell us they do not believe drugs or alcohol were involved. We will have updates for you as they come in at our website, WRTV.com. Also tonight, breaking news from the world of college football and a possible restart to the season for IU and Purdue. ESPN was the first to report that Big Ten University president and chancellors will meet tomorrow to review the latest COVID-19 medical information and possibly vote again on beginning the football season as soon as next month. The Big Ten postponed all fall sports last month shortly after a group of athletes made a series of demands to protect their health and to preserve scholarships for athletes who opt out of playing. ESPN says the presidents of IU and Purdue were not part of the first round of meetings held this afternoon. In order to reverse last month's 11-3 vote, 9 of the Big Ten's 14 presidents would have to approve it. We will have much more on this developing story as it comes in, as well as tomorrow on the news at 6. Well, it was a gorgeous Saturday for much of central Indiana, but some of you may be getting some rain this evening. WRTV Storm Team Meteorologist Kyle Mounts is here now. Kyle.
Yeah, Nicole, we got a cold front that's moving into parts of central Indiana, and that's changing things up a little bit and providing some areas of rain. No thunderstorms out there, and we're not anticipating much in the way of any thunderstorm activity here as we go through tonight. You can see some of those downpours, though, around Frankfort right now, and those will continue to stream into western Howard County around Kokomo. One downpour over Greencastle right now. Again, this is lifting across areas toward the northeast here along I-70, some rain into Brazil. And TrueCast shows this pretty well here as we go through the next several hours. Some areas of rain scooting through Anderson and into Muncie. But by tomorrow morning, I think most of the wet weather is going to be out of here. Our temperatures, it's still warm. It is still muggy out there. We are sitting in the middle 70s pretty much everywhere you look. 76 right now in Bloomington, Greenfield at 73. We'll continue with a few of those showers to around 5 o'clock in the morning, but we should dry out pretty quickly here with temperatures into the 60s as we get towards sunrise. We'll talk about a Sunday afternoon that should feel a little bit better than it did today in a few minutes.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Tonight, Metro Police say a woman who may have been forced into an SUV while she was at work could be out of state. Officers say it happened this morning at a Speedway gas station on the northeast side. 31-year-old Solana Coffee was working at the Speedway on East 65th Street and Binford Boulevard. Police say a Chevrolet Tahoe pulled up and one of the two men inside the SUV may have forced the woman inside and left. Officers tell us they now have reason to believe that Coffee may be near St. Louis, Missouri. If you think you may have seen her or you have any information that may help police, you can call Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. That is 317-262-TIPS. A brief scare tonight at IUPUI. Police were called to the downtown campus just after 5:30 this evening on reports of a suspicious package. Officers noticed what appeared to be smoke coming from a box on Barnhill Circle. A bomb squad was called in, but it turned out to be just dry ice. Police believe it was a mistaken delivery.
The med center's right here on the right-hand side. It's typical for them to have that, so we think it was a delivery intended to go there, and the delivery ended up on the circle.
Well, as of now, police say they don't expect to file any criminal charges. New COVID-19 cases again topped 1,000 today, but it could be in part due to thousands of new tests conducted. The state health department reported 1,076 new cases of the coronavirus, but the department says the addition of a new testing facility in its reporting system means thousands of new tests were also counted in the new statistics. 17 additional COVID-19 deaths were also reported. Today, people living in an area considered one of the hot zones in Marion County for COVID-19 cases were able to get tested for free. The Marion County Public Health Department partnered with the International Marketplace Coalition for its Give Back Day for the community. It was held at the Lafayette Place Shopping Center. The coalition is a group made up of business owners, community leaders, and concerned citizens that focus on improving the area. According to the health department's dashboard, the 46222 zip code where this event was held today has had 820 COVID-19 cases.
COVID testing has been in our neighborhood for about a month, and it only made sense that if we were going to do a good give back, that we should partner with or do it with the Marion County Health Department. It only makes sense. So it's like everybody is giving back together.
So we try to partner where there is a high concentration or high level of positive COVID-19 so that we can be there in the community for the people.
45 people were tested here today, and the site is now open weekly on Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aside from testing, they handed out food from gleaners, face masks, and even helped people get registered to vote. Here at WRTV, we are putting the focus throughout the pandemic on how people are working together. Today at Mount Pleasant Baptist Church on West 62nd Street, the youth ministry held their first ever backpack giveaway drive. 800 bags full of supplies donated from the church and goodies from the Pike Township Fire Department were handed out. The leader of the youth ministry says this is their way of reaching out to the community and letting families know they are here to help.
The community, of course, needs, vary. It just depends on circumstances, with the quarantine and with what we're going through. It all brings some of us together, that may not normally need it. But if it's not you, you may have a family member or a friend that may need it. So we've had people come through that it wasn't for them, but it was for people they knew, and that was fine as well, as long as it's getting into the hands of people that are, knowing that they need it with children.
I got two.
The leader we spoke with says they plan to hold events like this again in the future after the positive response they received today from families in need. Stepping towards hope, today survivors and supporters walked together for the first 5K honoring victims of violence. Today's message was all about spreading hope. Survivors showed up to show their support for each other and anyone going through tragedy and trauma. The hope is to bring healing to everyone walking and anyone watching.
Each step that we take in life gets us closer to a place of being healed. We have many pieces. When you go through situations, it's just not that particular thing that you're dealing with. There are other things that are connected to that. And so in healing, with healing in pieces, I encourage people to take advantage of every little piece you can to heal. And walking today is symbolic of us walking closer to our sense of peace.
Yeah, today's event, Securing Hope, is all about showing victims and survivors of violence in this community that ICCVR is here for them, we support them, and we want to give them a stage to share their stories too.
I think there's something about empowering others that also empowers yourself, because you're so hard on yourself. So when you are kind and compassionate to others and hear their stories, you kind of, in turn, do it to yourself as well.
Well, both Clarissa and Mariah, who we just heard from, have become advocates for the organization, promoting hope by sharing their own individual stories of survival. The pandemic has not been easy for the owners of restaurants and food trucks, but one of them is still finding a way to give back to their community. The owners of Tijuana Flats Tex-Mex food truck set up today in Fishers to raise money for victims of a fire at an apartment complex. At least 8 units at the Sunbless Apartments near Lantern Road and Regency Drive were damaged in the fire this past Tuesday.
We have been taking our food trailer out to different neighborhoods during this whole COVID shutdown, and that's what kept us afloat while the restaurants were all shut down. So the neighborhoods took care of us, so we want to take care of them now.
20% of the food truck sales today went to residents of the apartment complex who were impacted by the fire. A tale of two campaign styles. Next, how the president is again holding big events with no social distancing, while his opponent is trying to reach voters in a different way. Kyle.
It is warm and muggy across central Indiana tonight. Temperatures still in the middle 70s, but look off to the west. We've got numbers in the 50s. I'll track that fall feel into central Indiana. You're watching WRTV News at 11.
Democracy 2020 now, while President Trump is still holding large campaign events with no social distancing and few people wearing masks, challenger Joe Biden is taking a different approach this weekend. ABC's Ty Hernandez also tells us the reason Vice President Mike Pence called off a fundraiser appearance.
With just 7 weeks until the election, President Trump and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden continue their two very different campaign styles. The president traveling to Nevada, a state he lost in 2016, holding events there through the weekend with the hope of carrying the state in November.
52 days from now, we're going to win Nevada. And we're going to win 4 more years in the White House.
Looking to court Latino voters, the president will host 2 Latinos for Trump roundtables, one in Las Vegas on Sunday and another in Phoenix on Monday. Vice President Mike Pence canceling plans Saturday to attend a fundraiser in Montana, following revelations that the event's host had expressed support for the QAnon conspiracy theory. Biden calling the president's campaign events reckless rallies, his campaign taking a different approach, hosting more virtual events. Running mate Senator Kamala Harris hosting an online roundtable with Latino small business owners in Arizona, taking aim at the president's handling of the pandemic.
Trump deliberately downplayed the seriousness of COVID-19. What we heard on that tape earlier this week is, simply put, it's a dereliction of his duty as our president.
In a CNN interview earlier this week, Biden arguing the president's inaction on COVID-19 cost thousands of American lives.
He didn't do a damn thing. Think about it. Think about what he did not do. And it's almost criminal.
A report released by Politico on Friday claims Trump officials purposely interfered with CDC reports on COVID-19. According to the article, staff within the administration openly pushed for CDC reporting to better align with President Trump's optimistic claims. A spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services tells ABC News, "Our intention is to make sure that evidence, science-based data drives policy through this pandemic, not ulterior deep state motives within the bowels of CDC." Ty Hernandez, ABC News, New York.
Ty, thank you. A number of festivals have been canceled this year due to the pandemic, but today Fishers Parks and Recreation held a socially distanced Harvest Festival. Artists from the Fishers Arts Council had their work on exhibit and for sale for several good causes.
It's just a great opportunity for the community to come out and support some artists and some local nonprofits that haven't had an opportunity to do some of their normal events this year. So it's kind of time for us to, as a community, step up and really be able to support those things that have kind of had to take a back seat during quarantine.
Harvest Fest benefited the Fishers Park and Recreation Foundation's Angel of Hope, the Ambassador House and Gardens, and the Fishers Arts Council. And Kyle, we can tell there in that video, not the brightest day today, but not a bad day to get outside, depending on where you were.
Yeah, we kept it dry for most of our Saturday here across central Indiana, and we are going to have several very nice weather days coming our way. Look at that temperature forecast here for those highs the next several days, right around 80 degrees, and we are starting to cool fairly quickly now. Our average high is in the upper 70s. Well, tonight we see some wet streets there in Greencastle on the Weather Now camera network as we've got some showers around. You've had a little bit of that rain in Lafayette. Cloudy skies right now in 73. It's 75 in Indy and 76 with some clearing around the Bloomington area. But radar still tracking a few of those showers for you and downpours tonight between Rossville and Frankfort here in Clinton County and just to the south of Kokomo. So it looks like Kokomo, you got rain. You're kind of surrounded by it. May not see a whole lot of wet weather this evening. And then Putnam County, also a couple of downpours. Greencastle, a little more rain moving in, especially on the southeast side of town, and Brazil still getting a little bit wet tonight. We'll have scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. That would be very isolated for us, though. Not expecting any storms with severe weather. Our temperature in the middle 60s. Here's a look by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. You can see just an isolated shower here over the southeastern portion of the state. We will start off with some cloud cover, but by the middle of the day, already seeing that sunshine return. Should be pretty bright and nice here as we go into our Sunday afternoon, with temperatures that will go from 68 at 8 a.m. to the middle 70s here at noon, and then we'll get to around 80 for that afternoon high. Once again, just a couple degrees cooler than what we had today, and those clear skies at 8 o'clock and 72. Another thing you're going to notice tomorrow, a little less humidity in the air, and that's going to continue to drop here Monday and especially Tuesday. Humidity really a non-factor there before it does come up here for the middle of the week. High temperatures Sunday afternoon, 79 for you in Lafayette, 82 in the Columbus area, and there are those comfortable highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s through the middle of the week. Things are fairly dry, especially across the western and northern portions of the state there on the drought monitor. Looks like after tonight, it's going to be a pretty dry stretch of weather. We do get back into a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms, though, by Wednesday late in the day. And then on Thursday, that ushers in more of a fall feel, Nicole, as we look ahead to next weekend with some sunshine and temperatures in the middle 70s.
All right, Kyle, looking forward to that. Thank you. Well, some parents at one Marion County school district are calling on administrators to make adjustments to their hybrid learning model. More than 1,700 people in Franklin Township have signed a petition expressing their concerns. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum spoke with some of those parents and is working to get answers from the district leaders.
It's been a struggle for her, and her grades have been greatly affected.
This is what learning looks like half of the week for students here at Franklin Township Community Schools.
So she's basically on her own 3 days a week, and she's spending at minimum 10 hours a day.
Parents telling us their kids are left to teach themselves when they're not in the classroom.
She's not doing any type of calls with teachers. There's no interaction on those days, so that's a struggle for her.
Other parents say they're experiencing the same thing.
A lot of that time is spent trying to teach themselves material, looking for YouTube videos and going on Google and attempting to find resources that are not being provided.
This petition online asking for adjustments to the learning model has more than 1,700 signatures.
We basically started a petition, which was nothing more than an act to see how many people are having these same challenges, and a request of the school board and the administration to meet with parents.
They want to see changes like increased teacher interaction on e-learning days, a consistent communication portal so deadlines and assignments are clear, and an adjusted workload.
We can look at their grades and we can see, how is this being impacted? How were their grades last year? What do they look like this year? Obviously something has changed.
We're not blaming the teachers. We know that they're doing the best that they can. What we're asking for is just the administration to continue to adapt.
And they hope it happens sooner than later.
This cannot be a throwaway year for our children. We cannot say, okay, we're all learning, but what happens right now doesn't matter, because it does.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Megan, thank you. The Franklin Township School District released a statement saying they will meet with parents individually to discuss any concerns they might have. It was a socially distanced crowd at Notre Dame Stadium as the Irish kicked off their football season today. The Duke Blue Devils kept it close through the first half, but Notre Dame recovered a fumble early in the third quarter. Running back Kyron Williams would take advantage of the turnover with a 26-yard touchdown run. Notre Dame would cruise to a 27-13 win. The Colts open their season tomorrow. They are in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. It will be the first look for Colts fans at new quarterback Phillip Rivers. They are also trying to win a Week 1 game for the first time since 2013. Kickoff in Jacksonville is at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and we will have a complete recap with Brad Brown tomorrow on the news at 6 and 11. IndyCar is racing twice this weekend at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Fans in attendance there, ticket sales capped at 6,000, and both days were sold out. Today's entire afternoon was a dominating performance by Will Power. He was the fastest qualifier, the 60th time he earned the pole position, and Power would lead the field for all but 9 laps in the race. His 38th career IndyCar victory. At the end, he was more than 7 seconds in front of his teammate Joseph Newgarden.
And that's probably the first race, I reckon, in about 10 years that I've just gone hard. Like every other race, I save fuel and we try to play a strategy game. Today, I just said, let's just go hard, man. Screw this. We don't want to get caught by yellow, or let's just run hard and use my raw pace and see what happens. And we won the race, so it was a great strategy.
And they'll do it all again on Sunday at Mid-Ohio, qualifying in the morning. Race number 2 goes around 1 p.m. We'll have a recap for you tomorrow on the news at 6. Naomi Osaka made history today at the U.S. Open tennis tournament. She dropped the first set 6-1 to Victoria Azarenka, but Osaka roared back to take the final 2 sets to win her 2nd U.S. Open and her 3rd career Grand Slam title. Osaka also got attention during the tournament for the masks that she wore before each of her matches. All 7 of them had the names of Black people who have died in police shootings across the country. They are trying to find a vaccine as soon as possible, but they are having trouble finding the right people to test it out. Next, why COVID-19 researchers are desperately reaching out to communities of color. COVID-19 is affecting people of color at higher percentages than the general population, but researchers are having trouble getting them to be part of vaccine trials. Kat Sandoval with our partners at Newsies spoke with experts on what can be done to change that.
Black, Latinx, and Native communities have been disproportionately affected by the coronavirus. Yet most vaccine trials now underway lack a diverse participant pool.
We've got to get a higher percentage of minorities into the clinical trial. We want to make sure that when we say that something is safe and effective, we mean it's safe and effective for everyone.
Historically, communities of color haven't always been treated well in clinical trials. For example, after the 40-year Tuskegee syphilis experiment ended in the 70s, researchers failed to not only inform Black male participants that they were suffering from the disease, but did not treat them.
That for many African Americans remains a really potent symbol of mistreatment and research abuse.
University of Maryland professor Sandra Quinn is an expert on public health disparities.
It's not just history. There's the ongoing bias in the healthcare system. We know that there are challenges related to access to care in the system today that Black and brown Americans feel and experience.
Ethnicity or race alone doesn't make you more susceptible to the coronavirus, but rather, the CDC says long-standing systemic health and social inequities have increased the risk for these groups. Factors include healthcare access, wage gaps, and occupations. And they have real impacts. Compared to non-Hispanic white people, Latinx are nearly 3 times more likely to get COVID-19. Native Americans are 5 times more likely to be hospitalized. And Black people are twice more likely to die. Each vaccine trial in phase 3 requires 30,000 participants. While the FDA encourages diversity, it doesn't require it. Some experts worry that diversity might be pushed to the side in a rush to develop a vaccine.
Unfortunately, we're already seeing that it is compromised.
Recent University of California research reviewed 6 COVID-19 clinical trials and found that Black patients were underrepresented in all studies. 2 of those studies didn't report the race of volunteers at all.
And I can tell you, as a Black frontline worker, you are producing an incomplete trial if you do not recruit a sufficient number of Black patients.
Experts say one reason for the lack of diversity in clinical trials is the lack of information. Minority populations aren't aware that studies are being done. They say by spreading the word, we can increase participation and ultimately build trust. But participating in clinical trials comes with a risk.
It's really important that you paint it as equivocal as you can, that you don't know whether this could possibly harm them or whether it's going to be of real benefit to them, and that you're really asking them to do a favor for humanity.
Kat Sandoval, Newsies, Chicago.
A big happy birthday today to the nation's oldest World War II veteran. Lawrence Brooks turns 111 today. He didn't get to have the big party he was hoping for because of the pandemic, but he did get a serenade and a military flyover for his birthday while he watched from his porch in New Orleans. Brooks also got about 10,000 birthday cards thanks to a public campaign. Good for him and happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Feeling the love with all those cards for sure. All right, radar showing still a few areas of rain out there tonight. Good news is, though, they are out of here pretty early as we go into our Sunday. That 7-day planning forecast, some sunshine to start off the week ahead.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night at 6. Have a great night.